Hi, I'm Mr. Simons, and in this video, we're going to be looking at this dot point here from the New South Wales Business Studies HSC course in marketing. And that's the KBF, and we're looking at the production, selling, and marketing approaches. So what I've done is I've just set out the approaches, production, selling, and marketing with the kind of rough dates that they take place so that you can add those to your notes. I'll put the sources for my information in the show notes. If I start with the production here, that the focus is on making the products. That is the goal here. That the business is saying, we can make these products, and you know what? Once we make them, then consumers will buy them. That the focus is not on understanding consumers or meeting their needs or wants, that the focus is on making products. That just because we can make something, we should do that, and then consumers will buy it. That if you think about the kind of examples of this, that you could think back to Ford and the Model T, that their process was that, well, if we just make these, then consumers will buy them. So that's the production process, that the starting point here is on the making of the goods themselves. But then things shift and that we move to the selling approach. So that what happens is that two things come together. So we've got mass production. So we've got more and more goods being produced, and this results in more competition. So that here, it's not enough to produce the good anymore because you've got a whole bunch of other people that are making these products. It's not just you, you've got other people there. So that the focus then has to become, well, how do we get consumers to choose our product? And that what we're talking about here is how do we differentiate our offering? How do we set it apart? And that in looking at how we would do that and how that would work, is that what we do is we say, okay, we need to focus on how we sell our product so that we've got this focus now on the process of selling and of convincing customers so that we're not just focusing on the product. Here now we've got to focus on sales reps that are going out to customers and explaining to them, this is why this is going to be good for you. Just because it exists, that's just one thing, and that's not enough. We need to convince you about why you should buy it because there are so many other choices out there. So the point or the focus here is, how do we differentiate? We're going to use sales and we're going to get people to try and convince consumers to buy our product. If we then shift across to the marketing approach, and we will physically shift across the whiteboard here, is that what we're starting to think about, and we'll split this up into two sections. So we'll go here, we'll just call this part one. That what we've really got is now a focus on the consumer. Because you might think, well, the selling approach, that's sort of still focused on the consumer. And it's not really, because they're still mass producing a whole bunch of goods. So it's not like they started the process by thinking about, geez, I wonder what consumers want. They were like, okay, we can produce lots of these. Then let's get salespeople to convince consumers that they need them. Now we get, okay, what do consumers actually want? So what we're sort of saying is that we're going to now start the process with the consumer, and not just the marketing process. I think we can actually extend that, And we're really starting the production process by saying, what do consumers want? Sorry, just had to take a drink of water. It's very thirsty work. What do consumers want, and how can we actually meet those needs? So let's put that down here. So what we're starting to say here is, so the focus is very different. It's not about what we can produce as a business. It's really about what does the consumer actually want and how can we meet those needs. That's kind of the starting point for the marketing approach. What we can then talk about is that this actually takes a step forward, or sort of a step in a different direction as well, is that it's not just thinking about the consumer as well. We're sort of adding we're now adding a concern for the role of business in society. So here we're starting to think about a business is not just focused on what consumers want, but on being a good corporate citizen by meeting corporate social responsibility and also being ecologically sustainable. So you can see that the big shift here was focusing on the consumer, and that now it's actually thinking about, well, what are we actually doing in society? Are we being responsible? Are we preserving the environment for future generations? And the other thing that is important to note about the second half of this marketing approach is also talking about what's known as CRM, which is customer relationship management. And that what we're starting to see here is it's not enough for a sale. We want to have the tools, the information, and the resources to keep consumers coming back to buy our things. So that, yes, we want to start with their needs, but we want to keep meeting consumer needs. And customer relationship management, CRM, gives us the tools to be able to do that. So if we just zoom out a little bit, so we can see here that we start with the production approach. So it's like, okay, we can make these products. That's the point. Consumers will just buy them. Selling, where we're saying everyone is making these products. We have to give them a reason to choose ours. And then marketing, that final stage here, which puts consumers at the start rather than products, and then sorts out what do they need, and let's build something that meets their needs. And then let's also be very careful about our role in society and make sure we're doing the right thing by our society and our customers as well. Hopefully this was helpful. Any questions, just put them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.